On the morning of January 19th, 1996, near Qingliang Mountain in Nanjing, a sanitation worker was carrying out routine garbage collection when he discovered a woven plastic bag that felt unusually heavy. The bag appeared ordinary and showed no obvious difference from surrounding trash. However, while attempting to move it, the worker noticed its abnormal weight along with a strong, unpleasant odor. At first, he assumed the bag contained spoiled food or the remains of an animal, a situation not uncommon in urban waste disposal at the time. Out of curiosity, the sanitation worker opened the bag. Inside, he found what appeared to be segmented human tissue. He immediately contacted the police. After receiving the report, police officers arrived at the scene without delay. The area was promptly secured, and an initial examination of the contents was conducted. Preliminary assessment confirmed that the contents were human remains. They did not consist of a single body part, but multiple sections of a dismembered body. The situation was reported up the chain of command, and the case was officially classified as a major criminal investigation. In the days that followed, police did not recover all remains from the Qingliang Mountain location alone. Beginning on January 19th, more than 20 woven plastic bags containing human tissue were discovered at multiple locations across Nanjing. These locations included areas near Qingliang Mountain, Shuizhougang, Zhongshan North Road, and surrounding streets, several public areas that were frequented by residents but visually inconspicuous. The disposal sites were spread across different locations, yet all remained within Nanjing's central urban districts. Based on this distribution, investigators determined that the disposal was not random. The remains had been deliberately scattered over multiple trips and locations. None of the sites were remote wilderness areas, nor were they heavily crowded public spaces. Each location offered a degree of concealment while minimizing immediate attention. As additional bags were recovered, the extent of dismemberment became increasingly clear. After cataloging the recovered remains, police confirmed the following. The body had been divided into multiple parts. The cut edges were relatively clean and orderly. There were no obvious signs of emotional or excessive mutilation. This indicated that the dismemberment was not the result of an impulsive act, but rather a controlled and methodical process. At this stage, forensic specialists formally entered the investigation. During the autopsy process, forensic examiners identified several highly unusual characteristics. First, some of the tissue showed clear signs of heat exposure. Laboratory analysis confirmed that certain organs and tissue had been subjected to high temperatures, and that these effects were not the result of natural decomposition. In other words, before or during dismemberment, the remains had likely been boiled or exposed to a similar heating process. Second, the separation points between body parts were anatomically precise. There was little evidence of repeated cutting or accidental miscuts. This suggested that the perpetrator possessed a working understanding of human anatomy and was able to complete the dismemberment within a relatively short period of time. Based on these findings, police formed an initial assessment. The perpetrator may have had experience in medicine, anatomy, slaughterhouse work, or another occupation involving frequent contact with human or animal dissection. In addition, forensic examination revealed no extensive drag marks or clear signs of prolonged physical struggle on the body. This suggested that prior to death, the victim may not have engaged in a lengthy or violent resistance. As disposal sites continued to be mapped, investigators began evaluating where the crime itself had likely taken place. After analyzing all known locations, police reached a consistent conclusion. All recovered sites were disposal locations, not the primary crime scene. This conclusion was based on several factors. No large-scale bloodstains were found. The sites lacked conditions suitable for dismemberment and cleaning. They could not support prolonged activity without detection. Therefore, the actual crime scene was believed to be a closed indoor space with the following characteristics: the ability to operate without interruption, access to ample water, sufficient facilities to process large amounts of tissue, minimal risk of drawing attention from others. Police then began systematic searches of potential locations, including buildings near areas frequented by the victim, university campuses and nearby dormitories, private residences, abandoned or unused structures. However, given the technical limitations and lack of direct evidence at the time, investigators were unable to identify the primary crime scene. By this stage of the investigation, several key facts had been established. First, this was a premeditated homicide involving dismemberment. Second, the perpetrator remained highly composed after the crime and was able to transport and dispose of the remains multiple times without being detected. Third, the complexity of the case far exceeded that of an ordinary criminal investigation. At this point, the victim's identity had not yet been fully confirmed. Police shifted the focus of the investigation toward recently reported missing persons, missing women, individuals connected to universities in Nanjing. The next phase of the case would center on identifying the victim.